A definition of censorship: the removal, suppression, or restricted circulation of literary, artistic, or educational material, of images, ideas, and information, on the grounds that these are morally or otherwise objectionable in light of standards applied by the censor. When most people think of the censorship of literature, what often comes to mind is the iconic image of the Nazi Party burning huge piles of books in an attempt to cleanse their culture of what they deemed to be objectionable or substandard written material. But the origin of the censorship of books goes back many hundreds of years before the Third Reich. Before the invention of Gutenberg's printing press in the mid-15th century, every copy of every book was individually handwritten. Because the publication process was so slow and there were only a limited number of copies of each book, it was quite possible to destroy every trace of an objectionable text. The printing press changed everything. It was now possible in just a short period of time to flood a population with mass printings of a book. It is no coincidence that the first attempts at institutional censorship appeared shortly after Gutenberg's revolutionary invention. King Henry VIII developed a strict licensing system in which all publications had to be approved by the Church of England. In 1559, the Roman Catholic Church issued an index of banned books that would be amended and enforced until the 1970s. Although the first documented book burning in the U.S. happened in 1650 with the burning of the religious pamphlets of William Pynchon, who was shortly after condemned to death for their authorship, it was in the late 1800s that it reached a fever pitch in this country. Anthony Comstock, an American politician dedicated to the ideals of Victorian morality, urged Congress to pass the Comstock Law of 1872, which banned the publication and distribution of obscene texts. Comstock boasted that he was responsible for the destruction of 15 tons of books, 284,000 pounds of printing plates, and nearly 4 million pictures. He also claimed responsibility for 4,000 arrests and 15 suicides. In 1922, however, the fiercest literary censorship battle of the century was brought to the U.S. government in the form of one book, James Joyce's Ulysses. The book was banned in 1921 for obscene language, which resulted in an influx of black market copies. In 1933, Random House imported a single copy from France and arranged to have a customs official available when it arrived. When the book was confiscated, Random House immediately contested the seizure. In the United States versus one book called Ulysses, the judge ruled that the book was not pornographic and could therefore not be deemed obscene, thus setting a groundbreaking legal precedent. This was the state of literary censorship in this country in the same year of the widespread book burnings in Germany. Literary censorship didn't end with the Nazis, however, and it wasn't settled by the United States versus one book called Ulysses either. In the United States alone, between 1990 and 2000, over 6,000 books have been formally challenged, banned, or censored. On the list compiled by Random House of the top 100 novels of the 20th century, over half have been challenged or banned. The members of the public who initiate these challenges are not out to purge our culture of dissenting voices, but are predominantly concerned parents, faculty members, or involved members of the community. Ultimately, the decision to remove a book from a curriculum or a library does not come down to a single teacher, administrator, parent, or member of the public. According to the most recent legislation, after many different legal cases, only the school board can make a decision about removing certain texts from libraries, and only if they adhere to very specific legal guidelines designed to protect the First Amendment rights of students. For example, it is illegal to ban a text in an attempt to prevent student access to ideas with which the censoring parties disagree. Ultimately, there are as many reasons to challenge a work of literature as there are to defend it, and fortunately, the First Amendment allows for every one of those arguments to be made.